Hi all, and welcome to another episode of the Tetra Travels. This week I'm going to take you on my adventure to Barcelona. It's going to be a three-part video, this one, as the footage was quite long, as I spent a week there, but hopefully you'll enjoy it and you'll learn something. I'll be talking about the access, but also just what it was like as a city and just my experience. Hopefully you'll get a sort of idea of what Barcelona is like from the perspective of a wheelchair user who's going there for the first time. Getting around on the Barcelona metro was absolutely amazing. The lifts were all really good, and there was sort of access on most platforms. The staff were really friendly and helpful, and it was just really easy to get around. The maps were easily designed, and just having sort of most platforms accessible, nearly everyone we went to, just made such a difference, because you felt like you could get on the metro and not worry about where you're going to get off, would it be accessible, and all those things I usually have when travelling around London. It was also clearly signed where the wheelchair on and off points were, usually at the front or the back of the train, and just all round, really good experience. It was also really novel to have a funicular railway that was wheelchair accessible. It could have been slightly better if they'd aligned the side of the platform with the actual level of the train, but it wasn't too bad. I think you might struggle a little bit if you have certain power chairs, but it was easy enough in my chair. On our first day there, we did quite a lot of different transport modes. We took the metro, the funicular, and then we took the cable car up to the fort. This ramp going up to the cable car was rather steep, that was the only flaw, but the actual cable car itself was really accessible and a really good way to get up Mount Montjuic. The hill is famous for being the highest point in Barcelona, but also has a long history of also being where a lot of the Olympics was based, but also historically the castle at the top was used very extensively to defend Barcelona, but also defend against uprising in the Civil War. Due to the height of the hill, it's also a great place to get a view over the city. The cable car gives excellent vantage points and really gets you a sense of what the city looks like, the size of it, and where the main sort of tourist attractions would be. It also has flip-up seats, so any size wheelchair could fit into the cable car quite easily. Once at the top, we visited the castle. This castle dates back to 1640 and was a major part in Barcelona history. A lot of the uprisings were sort of fought off from the castle, and a lot of the leaders of the Catalan sort of rebellions were also executed at the castle. It now stands proud on the top of the hill, and it has great views over the city and has now become sort of part of Catalan pride, as they now have the city to themselves pretty much. The fort has a relatively new lift that helps take you up to the top of the fort, avoiding some of the steep hills. This is really excellent and makes life a lot easier when going around the castle. The views from the castle are excellent, but range from the city views to the new industrial ports of Barcelona. It's quite amazing how a city can have such beautiful buildings on one side and such an industrial nature on the other, with this sort of castle that's very old in the middle, sort of showing the history of the two areas. My biggest difficulty of getting around the castle was actually just the cobbles. Once you were off the cobbles, it was very easy and flat. But yeah, there was a lot of them to get over and avoid. They did also offer a free carer's ticket, which made it good value for money from a wheelchair user's point of view, if you can deal with the cobbles getting around. If you are able-bodied, you can also get onto the roof of the main castle area. However, at the moment, this is not accessible to wheelchair users or people with mobility restrictions. They are planning on putting a lift in at some point, so this will get rectified. However, at this point, it's not available. The people that did go up there with me said it was a really amazing views and quite interesting, but yeah, it's not available to us yet. I chilled out in the nice cafe area for a little bit while other people explored the rooftop. The castle also has exhibitions. When we were there, the exhibition was around the 1990 Barcelona Olympics. It was really interesting. It told you a lot about how the city had changed due to the Olympics and how the investment had been done to try and help the people of Barcelona. The castle also had viewing points and ramps in nearly all of the areas, which made it a really nice, accessible day out. We then took the cable car back down before heading back to the hotel for the evening and getting some food. The whole day was really interesting, really accessible, and yeah, I just absolutely loved it. Day 2, we got up nice and early, used the metro, and went out to see the Sagrada Familia. As one of the most famous spots in Barcelona, the Gaudi-designed church towers over the city and is the tallest building in the city. The church is utterly stunning and is actually quite an amazing experience to be there, almost a religious experience even for someone that isn't particularly religious. The architecture is really interesting and nothing like I've seen before. The scale of it is just so massive, it's hard to comprehend. It is quite astounding that it is still under construction despite being started in the 1880s. It was also a really accessible day out. Most of the church was accessible to myself, it wasn't too hard to get around. The only problem was you couldn't go up the spires, so some people could choose to go up the tower and see the city from the top. That wasn't actually accessible to any wheelchair users or someone with mobility restrictions. It was also restricted for other people with things like pregnancy, fear of heights or dizziness, so be careful if you're looking to book that. With evidence, tickets for myself as a wheelchair user were free and I could also take a carer, so I was actually really good value for money as we only had to pay for my guests. Despite the church being really busy, I don't think it detracted too much. The size of the church makes it actually still quite open and not too overcrowded, although it might be nicer if you can to get there early. I unfortunately have quite a long routine to get ready in the morning, so it's not physically possible for me. However, if you're able-bodied, it might be a good idea to go to one of the earlier sessions. As far as the day and also just the city in general, I've never seen so many people with various disabilities in my life. It seems like the disabilities are very out in the open and people are willing to go out and see these sort of places, and there's not so much judgment, so it felt really good from the point of view of a disabled person. Around the church itself we saw people with autism, with cerebral palsy, in wheelchairs, but it didn't seem to be that they were kind of being told that they should be healed and things. They were just being left to their own devices to have a wander and explore the beautiful architecture of the church. That was the end of our second day. We then wheeled off to find some food, where we had paella, really tasty. We had a black paella made of squid ink, and it was just a really good day. One thing that's becoming a theme on the holidays I go to is I always forget to film the food so people can see it. The food in Barcelona was absolutely amazing. As I say, we had paella on the first night, but then we also had like a squid ink paella on the second day. Really tasty and yeah, like really like fresh seafood, which was fantastic. On the first night we also had a pudding that was like sort of like almost like French toast, but with sort of a creamy custard on top. It was, yeah, really amazing and not like anything I've ever tried before, so yeah, definitely recommend that. I can't remember the name of it, but look out for it on a menu. I was also obsessed with the tomato bread they do as a starter. It's just toast with fresh tomatoes and a bit of olive oil and maybe a bit of garlic, but it's just a really nice way to start your dinner and yeah, just kick off a meal. That's it for this week's video. I'm hoping to release part 2 of the Barcelona trip next week. Hopefully it's given you some insight as to the city itself, but also just a few of the activities, and yeah, look out for my next video. Yeah, see you next week, and please like, share and subscribe if you enjoyed it, and look out for the new videos coming out. That'll be it for this week. So long, and see you next time.